The Voice had a problem. They were too good. The Voice Journey number 197. This has never happened before in 197 journeys. For those of you who are new here, the Voice Journey is where we track the singers who didn't just come to audition, they came to change the whole building. And journey number 197 broke the show. It started on a Tuesday, blind auditions day 4. Everyone was tired. You have to understand how The Voice works by day 4. The coaches are exhausted. They've heard 80 versions of someone like you. They have 3 spots left on each team. They are saving those spots. They are stingy. John Legend has said the phrase, "I'm really trying to picture where you fit on my team," about 40 times. Reba is drinking more tea than any human should legally drink. Niall is being very polite about saying no. Gwen is looking for a very specific sparkly weirdness. The producers were worried. They call it the dead zone. Day 4 is where good singers get cut because there is no room. Then the dead zone walked in and sat down and refused to leave. Her name was Alina, 24, Nashville. She sang Valerie like Amy Winehouse was in the room watching and taking notes. It wasn't a cover, it was a hostile takeover. By the second chorus, all 4 chairs turned in under 10 seconds. That's rare on day 1. On day 4, it's unheard of. John fought for her. He stood up. He played piano with her. He said, "You are exactly what my team has been missing." Reba said, "Honey, I turned so fast I got whiplash. You come to mama." Alina picked Reba. Reba screamed. The crowd went nuts. Great moment. End of story. That's normally Journey 197. 1 star, 1 moment. But the stage door didn't close. The next audition was Marcus and Tay. They were a duo, brothers, 19 and 22 from Detroit. They had matching thrifted suits and 1 guitar between them. They sang Ain't No Mountain High Enough, but they reharmonized it so it sounded like it was written yesterday. Marcus took the low, Tay took a falsetto, so clean it made Niall actually stand up and point at him like he'd seen a ghost. 4 chairs again. Instant. Not a polite turn at the end, a slam at the first harmony. Gwen said, "You two are my entire childhood and my future." Niall said, "I need you on my team more than I need my own hair." They picked Niall. Niall fell to his knees. That's 2 4-chair turns back to back, in the dead zone. In the control room, the showrunner took off his headset and said, "Okay, that's weird. That's really good, but that's weird." Then weird became a problem. Next up, Priya Desai, 31, Austin. She had been a background singer for 6 years for artists you have definitely heard on the radio. She had never wanted to be in front. Her friends made her apply. She sang I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston. You do not sing I Have Nothing on The Voice unless you want to be publicly humiliated by Whitney Houston's ghost. Priya did not get humiliated. Priya made the song apologize to her. She started soft, almost a whisper, hands shaking. By the bridge, she was somewhere in the stratosphere. Reba started crying, actual tears. John Legend, who has heard that song sung by everyone, including presumably Whitney Houston herself, mouthed the words, "What the hell?" to his keyboard player. 4 chairs. The 3rd in a row. At this point, the audience wasn't just cheering, they were confused. They were looking at each other like, are we on a different show? Is this the finale? Did we miss 10 weeks? John got her. He literally begged. He said, "I have been waiting all day, all week for a voice that makes me shut up. Please let me shut up and listen to you for the rest of the season." 3 4-chair turns in a row. The record before this was 2, and that was season 12. The coaches went to break. They huddled in the hallway. This is not supposed to happen. The coaches are competitors, but they were all looking at the same math. Reba, I got 1 spot left. 1. John, I got 2. Gwen, I have 2, but I was saving 1 for a weirdo. I love weirdos. Niall, I have 1 spot left. 1. And I just used it on the brothers. And they still had 12 more singers that day. The 4th singer after break was named Samir. Samir was 58. He was a high school janitor from Cleveland. He wore work boots on stage. He said his kids signed him up. He sang To Love Somebody by the Bee Gees, and he sang it like he had lived every single lyric twice. There was dust on his boots. There was soul in his throat that you cannot teach. 4 chairs. Again, number 4. 4 4-chair turns in a row. The crew started laughing because what else do you do? Samir picked Gwen because his daughter loves No Doubt. Gwen cried and hugged him for a full minute. Niall had no chairs to turn, but he turned anyway out of respect, and the button made a sad little dead click. That's when the problem became official. The Voice has a very specific problem it is designed to solve. How do you find one good singer among many okay singers? What it is not designed to solve is, what do you do when every single singer is so good you want to quit your own career and just listen? Singer number 5, Lena, 16 years old, from a tiny town in Idaho that has more cows than people. She sang Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo. She sang it like she wrote it 10 years from now, looking back. Niall turned at the first line. Reba turned at the second. John and Gwen turned by the chorus, even though they had almost no spots left. She was 16 and she was already better than half the people on the radio. 4 chairs. Number 5. Lena picked John. John's team was now full. Completely full. He had to close his team on a 16-year-old in the middle of day 4, when usually coaches close on day 6 or 7 with someone they are just okay about. John looked at the camera and said, "I'm sorry to everyone else who auditions today. I am so full. I am so blessed and so full. I cannot turn again." He put a little closed sign on his chair that someone from Crafts had made as a joke. It was not a joke anymore. Singer number 6, Javier, opera singer turned bar singer, 34, sang Bring Him Home from Les Mis. Tenor, the kind of tenor that makes your chest vibrate. Reba turned even though she had 1 spot. Gwen turned even though she had 1 spot. Niall couldn't turn, John couldn't turn. 2 chairs, but it felt like 4 because Javier made the whole room feel like a cathedral. He picked Reba. Reba's team was now full. She put her own clothesline up. She kissed it. 2 coaches full, midday, day 4. Production was in full panic mode. They have a whole schedule built around teams filling slowly. They have montages planned. They have sad stories planned for tomorrow. They have nothing planned for what if everyone is a superstar and we run out of jackets. Singer 7, the last spot on Gwen's team. A woman named Keisha, 28, who had sung backup for Aretha Franklin once when she was 19 and had never gotten over it. She sang Chain of Fools and brought that Aretha spirit back into the building. Gwen turned. It was the last turn available on any team except Niall's 1 lonely spot. Gwen's team was full. 3 coaches closed. 1 spot left in the entire show. 1 red chair that could still turn. Niall Horan's last spot. And there were still 5 singers in holding who had been waiting since 6 a.m. The producers considered stopping. They actually had a meeting in the hall. Do we send them home? Do we tell them to come back next year? But you can't send someone home after they've waited 10 hours without at least letting them sing, especially not when the day has been historic. So they let singer number 8 walk out. His name was David. David was 45, bald, glasses, looked like he sold insurance. He looked like he was going to sing a nice, safe James Taylor song and go home happy he got to be on TV. David sang Radiohead, Creep. And he sang it like Thom Yorke and Jeff Buckley had a baby and left it in a church in Detroit. It was broken. It was beautiful. It was so raw that the audience didn't cheer at first. They just stared. Then they screamed. Niall's hand hovered over his button. This was his last spot. His last spot for the entire season. If he turned for David, that was it. His team was done. If he didn't, he would save it for someone else, and David would go home with no chairs on the greatest day of blind auditions in history. Niall turned. The last chair. The last spot. 4-chair talent in a 1-chair moment. Number 7 4-chair vocal in a row, but technically a 1-chair turn because only 1 chair was left to turn. David collapsed. Niall hugged him and whispered, "Thank you for not making me regret that." Niall's team was full. All 4 teams were full. It was 2:37 p.m. All teams full on day 4 at 2:37 p.m. has never happened in 25 seasons of The Voice. There were still 4 singers in holding. This is the part they did not air. This is why journey number 197 is a legend among crew. The showrunner walked into holding. 4 singers, warmed up, makeup done, families in the audience. He said, "I have never had to say this. All teams are full." One of them, a 22-year-old named Chloe, started crying, not because she was sad, but because she thought she had done something wrong. The coaches heard what was happening. They left their chairs. All 4 of them marched into holding. No cameras, except one intern who kept filming and later got a promotion for it. Reba said, "Y'all are not going home." John said, "We have a problem. You are all too good. The show has a problem it has never had. We are too full of good." What they did next was not in the rules. Gwen called the executive producer. Niall called his manager. John Legend, being John Legend, called someone who actually owns part of the network. For the first time ever, they opened a wild card. 4 singers, no team, but they were told, "You will all come back for the first ever 4-way knockout wild card. You will sing again next week for America's vote, before battles even start. If America loves you, you steal a spot, and we go to 5 people per team for the rest of the season.
Those 4 singers sang in an empty studio that night, just for the coaches and the janitors and that one intern. Every single one was a 4-chair voice. Every single one would have been a finale contender any other year. That is why Journey 197 is remembered. Not because one person was too good, but because on a random Tuesday in the Dead Zone, 8 people in a row were too good, and the show had to rewrite its own rules to contain them. Alina, Marcus and Tay, Priya, Samir, Lena, Javier, Keisha, and David all made it to the live shows. 3 of them made it to the finale. Priya won, but the crew still talks about the 4 who sang after the lights went out. They say if you stand on that stage late at night, you can still hear the echo of a day where The Voice finally met its match, its own singers.